All right, hello, hello. We're here today with a new employee spotlight, talking to the man, the myth, the legend, Wesley Widener. I am Pepper Code, Director of Marketing here at R3. Wesley is a security analyst with us who has a really, really interesting story that we just wanted to share with the world. Wes, how you doing, man?
I'm
Excited for you to
good.
join us.
I'm very excited to be here. It's definitely been a good journey.
Yeah, well, I wore my UT shirt for you. I know you're a big Vols fan, so I had to show a little pride for you.
Go Vols. 2 weeks till baseball season.
There we go, man. I'm excited. Uh, well, Wes, your story, like I said, it's very interesting, unique. So why don't you set the stage for us? Tell us what you were doing prior to R3, and just give us the lay of the land, set the groundwork. What brought you here?
That's prior to working for R3. I was actually a Huntsville police officer. So I worked for the Huntsville Police Department as a patrolman for the West Precinct.
That is awesome. Very unique story. So I mean, tell me about your day to day. Like, what was life like as a police officer? What were you getting into? Any unique experiences? What you got for me?
So day-to-day basis, truly nothing special. You go in, you have a roll call, kind of a team briefing before the chaos starts. And then you immediately go out and you start answering calls for service, ranging from motor vehicle accidents, domestic disputes, all the way up to the violent crimes that, we don't like to talk about or, have to experience, but it is an unfortunate reality. So, you know, rotating call to call, report generation, making arrests, it's a nonstop effort. There is very little break time in between.
Yeah, I'll bet. Now, while you were working as a police officer, um, there was obviously some sort of catalyst or pivot point for you. What was kind of that moment for you that led you to realize that you needed a career change, and you ultimately decided, obviously, on cybersecurity? But what happened?
So there was two major catalysts. The first one is I actually dislocated my shoulder at a Taco Bell, trying to apprehend a fugitive. So which resulted in me having shoulder surgery. I realized that you know being young and being able to heal is not always forever. So that kind of got into my mind that maybe I should have another plan in the pipeline, in the event
Wes,
that I'm
you
not able.
you held out on me on that one when we talked before this. Well, yeah, tell me the story. What happened? How'd you dislocate your shoulder with this guy?
So got a call at the Taco Bell. As crazy as it sounds, gentlemen screaming at customers, pointing a firearm at people. I had two of my good friends with me. One of them I grew up with from the time I was 6 to now. Got the guy out of the car, and just chaos ensued. He didn't want to comply. He started to get physical, throwing punches at other officers. And during that entire altercation, my shoulder dislocated. Really wasn't able to kind of go, hey guys, time out, let me take a break. Had to push through. I was just
Yeah.
fortunate to have great coworkers with me to take care of me on that end.
Yeah, man, you didn't tell me that one. That's crazy, man. Whew. All right, well, that you blew my mind, man. Like crazy day to day. I know there was another catalyst though, a little bit more serious. You want to get into the details of that too? What happened?
So on March 28th, 2023, we had two officers, Garrett Crumby and Albert Morin, respond to a shooting in progress. There was a female on the line in distress stating that her boyfriend had shot him. Upon their response, the offender started shooting through the doorway and struck Garrett Crumby and Albert Morin. Albert Morin was able to push through and survive. Unfortunately, Garrett Crumby was not. And having a wife, and a couple months later finding out she's pregnant, I knew that I couldn't do that to my daughter and my wife. The stress of that, it's just it never feels real. Even talking about it, I get chill bumps, I get emotional. So mitigating that fear for my family and the realities that come with being a law enforcement officer, that was the biggest motivator to get into cybersecurity.
I couldn't imagine, man. That is very surreal and a reality that I've never had to experience. And man, I'm just grateful there's people like you out there, just in the first place, risking their lives and so forth. So, I mean, you had this realization, this event happened. I think at the moment you didn't realize cybersecurity was where you wanted to go. How did you eventually come to that conclusion that cybersecurity was the direction that you wanted to pivot to?
Yeah, so I'd spent about a week just kind of, thinking, what can I do that challenges me, that pushes me to be better, and can allow me to provide for my family. And I ended up calling one of my old baseball coaches, Garrett Martz, and he, very directly was like, get your Security Plus and major in cybersecurity. And that was all the conversation he needed to have with me. And so that, that was where I was like, if this guy, and I truly look up to this man, he is a phenomenal human being. If he was going to give me that advice, I knew he meant it, that was the path that I should take.
Didn't mince words, just straight up click, you're doing it.
Very direct with it. I loved it.
All right, so you hang up the phone. He says cybersecurity. I mean, what do you do next? I mean, was it as simple as you just started Googling, how do I get into cybersecurity? What did you do? How'd you do it?
100%. So I ended up talked to my wife and my parents. They were all like, "Hey, this is a phenomenal idea. I really think you should do it." And I started Googling universities that I could attend to online and major in cybersecurity. And I ended up choosing Liberty University with a major in computer science, cybersecurity. And so starting that online, going to school full time, and then on top of that, purchased the CompTIA package for study materials, practice exams, and a book on the Security Plus exam to start studying for it.
You did all this while you were a police officer still, right? I mean, you didn't just quit, right? You put in the hours, no?
Oh yeah, there was no quitting. So my day to day at that point, I'd get up about 7, 8 a.m., study from that time all the way to about 1, get ready for work my shift from 2:30 to 10:30. And, if we ever had any downtime, I'd study there. And then when I got off work, it was a YouTube binge. Just every night, just watching YouTube videos on cybersecurity material.
Put me to shame, man. I'm sitting here. I can't even go to the gym today. I'm lazy, man. I mean, it's impressive. It really is. I mean, how long were those shifts, you said?
8-hour shifts.
8-hour shifts, and then you're watching YouTube videos, you're researching all, in your spare time. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's crazy. How long did it take you ultimately, to complete your education?
So it took me 2 years to end up getting an opportunity in cybersecurity, and I'm on track to graduate with my bachelor's degree in August or September.
Amazing. That's awesome. So tell me about, I mean, all this ultimately led you to R3. So how'd you get here?
So, the groundwork that I had to do to lay was the hardest part. So, going to school, getting my certifications, attending cybersecurity courses, through TryHackMe, Anti-Siphon, and on top of that, being able to stay current on cybersecurity trends because it's never the same every day. So, finding different platforms that provide that information. But the biggest catalyst was networking on LinkedIn. Reaching out, not asking for favors or money or, I need a full-time job. It's, hey, I want to learn, I want to grow. What can I do to, who can I expose myself to and communicate with that I can get that exposure?
That's great. I mean, putting in the work. Now, at R3, what's a little bit of the day-to-day like? Run me through that. How it probably significantly differs from your previous career.
So, on a day-to-day basis, it can range from, meetings with clients to doing, reporting for either monthly reports, quarterly reports, weekly reports, but it can also escalate into, incident response. Receiving notification, hey, there was a compromise, and immediately jumping and switching gears and, communicating not only with the internal team and also communicating with the clients, making sure that we're all on the same understanding. And then, one of my favorite parts is phishing campaigns. So I get the opportunity to try to, act like a bad guy and send out emails to our clients and to our internal employees to get them to fall for some malicious emails.
I've been at the receiving end of several of those, and I've fallen for several of them, unfortunately. Um, no, you're very good at it. Um, Now, I mean, I'm sure, like, there's probably, I said how the day-to-day differs, but like, I'm sure there's a lot of similarities too between being a police officer and entering cybersecurity. I mean, aside from like the obvious differences being on the street and so forth, and now being more at a desk. What are some of the similarities between the two?
The biggest similarity that I see on a day-to-day basis is that, the risks associated between law enforcement and cybersecurity are different in various ways, but at the end of the day, the ability to do your job effectively, work with your teammates, and communicate clearly is what allows people, not only R3 as a team, but also the clients that we work with, to be able to put food on the table, to be able to provide services. So from a perspective of law enforcement, where it's life and death, literally, figuratively, if we're not able to execute our responsibilities and work cohesively as a team, people aren't being fed. People aren't able to take care of their families. People aren't able to, you know, offer services that benefit the population. So the reality is everything is important, from writing a report to talking to a client to the incident response procedures. It goes hand in hand.
That's no, that's really interesting. Now, I mean, going a little bit off script here, I'm curious. Do you have any anecdotes, maybe like a unique situation, like a case study, maybe keeping it a little bit anonymous, but do you have like a unique story from a cybersecurity standpoint, that just an anecdote to share, that just, I don't know, just a unique case study from R3?
Yeah, so I will say one thing, and I don't know if it's necessarily a case study, but one thing that I've observed is, during the incident response process, there's no individual here.
Yep.
And that's one thing that stands out drastically, per, different differences from companies. The ability to work as a team here has expedited all of the procedures that we need to do. Everybody's willing to take part in it. It's not just, hey, Pepper, I know you're the director of marketing, but I need you to check and see if you got this email. You're not going to go, well, what for? You're going to go, I got you. I can take care of it. And so the ability to rely on each other is something that I just find absolutely beautiful about R3 and the dynamic of, cybersecurity and the organization as a whole.
I love that. I feel that too, to be honest, in a very different way, because we're in very different roles, but no, I feel that as well. All right, wrapping things up, I got one final question for you. If you could give advice to someone who's maybe considering cybersecurity as a major, someone early, a student, or someone debating whether if their current career choice is right for them, similar to you, what advice would you give them for making the leap into a cybersecurity position?
Yeah. So the first thing I would always recommend is research. Don't ever make a decision just by chance. You want to be sure that what you're jumping into is not only realistic, but is something that you can sustain over a long period of time. So I used to have, and I still do, I have 3 things on my desk every day that I read, and it's pressure is a privilege. Be grateful for everything. You can study for 2 years, you can knock it out of the park, but the reality is everybody works hard. Who works the smartest? And so keeping that in mind, you didn't get the job, good. You weren't going to love it there. Oh, you didn't get the interview? Hey, that's fine. Let's go check out our resume. Let's see how we can make it better. How can I get better? And then the last thing is address problems with solutions, not with more problems. And that's a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing right now on social media is, I don't have a job. I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all that. It's part of the process. It's not comfortable. It's not pleasant, but it's necessary, because when you do get that opportunity, the drive and hunger that you will have to succeed, not just for yourself, but for your teammates and your company, is going to make the difference for you drastically.
Tell you what, Wes, when it comes time to retire from cybersecurity, you got a motivational speaking career ahead of you. I'm about ready to run through a wall. That was great, man.
Thank you. I gotta say this. I gotta give credit to my father. He's instilling this stuff into me since I was a kid.
I love it. I really do. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. I thought this was great. I loved learning about your story just throughout this process. It's really inspirational. I just want to thank you for, I mean, everything you did as a law enforcement officer, and thank you for your time in general, and thanks for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I was always nervous speaking to people, but you've made it completely easy. You've made this exciting. You've made this dynamic, and I've looked forward to it since we started it.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat soon. I'll see you.